We gonna give it another shot, y'all. I'm gonna sit here and figure this shit the hell out. That's the thing about modern technology, man. It's absolutely wonderful, and sometimes it's absolutely not wonderful. It is sometimes very, very shitty, and there's nothing you can do about it, and that sucks. So I just sent the invite to my person who's going to join me, and hopefully they can join me. But this isn't working the way I. There we go. Says she's joined. Oh, we
Hey,
have liftoff. Hello and good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. This has been quite interesting to start the day because this shit would not connect. I don't know why, but we are all good. So, what are you doing today? You out in the park?
I am out at the park. I'm off today, so I brought my mom's dog out here because she needed something to do.
Okay, what kind of dog is it?
It is a Chihuahua mixed with miniature pincher. See if I can show you guys. She's over there
Oh,
running around.
oh,
Hmm.
don't let a hawk get it.
Nah, she don't let nothing get too close. I didn't realize there were so many airplanes flying by over here, so I don't know how loud they are.
Because you're in downtown LA?
That's where I live, but right now I'm in North Hollywood.
Oh, oh,
Or
North
Van
Hollywood. Oh,
Nuys.
you far. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that, 818?
I don't know where I'm at. Somewhere near Sepulveda.
You in LA, and that's all that matters, right?
Exactly.
Right on. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do a little intro for yourself? Say your name, your
Okay.
age, don't lie, and then your location, your city. Well, you said North Hollywood, so we don't know where you at.
No. Okay. Let's correct this. My name is Jasmine. I am currently 33, and I live in downtown Los Angeles. I'm simply in North Hollywood or Van Nuys right this second.
I see. My bad. All right. So I met you through a collective of black people a couple weeks
Yep.
ago, and I saw you last Saturday briefly. Um, and so we kind of had some conversations about some things you were experiencing, and I said I could give you some, what I say, some unrequested advice, unsolicited
Unsolicited.
advice, and you said you were open to
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so I figure why don't I give you 2 minutes to kind of do your thing, kind of tell your story about whatever the dating problem is that you have, and then after that 2 minutes, I'll kind of jump in and we'll kind of start to unravel everything.
Okay. Well, I have been off again, on again, dating the same guy for about I've lived in LA for 4 years. Wait, no, almost 6 years. I'm lying. So probably most of that time, at least like 5 of those years. And there's just so much to say. It's the classic. Oh, I don't want a relationship. Cool, me neither, because I was new to LA, so I wasn't really set on it. And then you kind of grew into it, and it's like, I want to be in a relationship, but he doesn't want to be in a relationship. He wants to be in a relationship, and I don't want to be in a relationship. And somehow we've just managed to still stay in contact all of that time, or like associated with each other. I think we have some different viewpoints on how we review a relationship, which is, I think, part of the problem.
Is that it?
I mean, I don't know what else you want to know.
I mean, so it just sounds like there's basically some, I guess I don't say miscommunication, but basically just two paths that have come together at a time where they're both not looking for anything other than what they have, which
Yeah.
is, I'm assuming, just sex.
Well, we're a little older, so it can't just be sex, but sex and
Is there
yes.
emotional engagement?
Emotional what?
Engagement. Like, are you guys connecting emotionally and relationally, or is it more so something else?
Yeah, we connect emotionally. We at least try to
Okay.
listen to each other and talk about things, but um, I think there is a communication barrier, if that makes sense. Because, like, I like talking, I talk a lot. Um, I don't know what you would classify the way that I speak, but I'm real deep with it. I'm an overthinker. I have a lot of words to say, and he is not. He's more
Okay.
short and not very good at going to deep, elaborate explanations. Um, and feels like things don't need all of that to be understood, but I really don't be understanding.
Okay. If he was better at deeper conversation and connection like that, would that change the relationship aspect and what you're looking for from him?
If he was to get better at it,
Yes. If he was basically a different personality, would you then want to have a relationship with at least with him?
yeah. Um,
And so, oh, go ahead.
I don't know. That's a tricky one because, like, it's like I want to be in a relationship with him, but also at the same time, sometimes I feel like uh, he's not in a place where he feels like he should be to be in a relationship. One, and then two, um, I tend to. I'm like I kind of float with the wind sometimes. So sometimes I tend to make connections um, with people that I don't take as seriously, but that he takes or feels is more serious.
Okay. So you said he has a situation. What's the situation that he has?
Um, well, he recently got into a little bit of trouble with the cops, so he managed to get arrested like 3 times in like a very short amount of time. One of those resulting in him being shot. So he's got like an ongoing court case going on. And then
He got shot.
potentially, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's basically what happened. That is what happened. He
Okay.
um he did not stop when he got pulled over, which I personally believe is a level of PTSD because he just doesn't like stopping for the cops. He wasn't running, he just didn't stop. He was looking for a more well lit place. And then they said they sent some commands, but I've recently watched the video and I didn't hear none of that shit. So I don't know what they're talking about. And then they just opened fire. And now they're trying to say that
Mm.
he was what was he trying to do? I don't know what they're trying to say, but they're skewing him.
Okay. So how did you meet this guy?
He lives really close to me actually. He lives in an apartment complex basically across the street that I was an overseeing manager at for a period of time. And when I stopped being the overseeing manager, because I work at the property I live in, He was just constantly like, "Hey, you want to hang out? You want to hang out? You want to smoke some weed?" And one day I was like, "You know what? I can smoke some weed." And then
Okay.
we hung out a few times, and then yeah.
Okay. What is it you like about him?
I like that. I like that he is. I like that we don't argue, if that makes sense. Not like those big screaming match arguments. I like that, like when we're upset with each other, we can just talk. And even though we don't always come to a resolution or the same viewpoint, like it's never some like screaming match. I mean, most of the time. Every now and again,
So
you
it
know. Huh?
doesn't end up like a Kendrick Lamar song where you guys are cussing each other out.
No, 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 no. Ends up with someone just
Okay.
being like, "You just don't
And so,
understand."
oh, okay. So when there's an argument, you guys can just kind of be okay with the fact that you disagree, and there's not, an attacking of one another's character.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And so his legal situation is he? So he was arrested. Is he incarcerated right now?
No.
He's out and he's free. Okay. Um,
Yeah, he's out. They're just
yeah, that's
it's
a
an ongoing
tough one
court
because
case.
okay. And what are his charges? Do you know?
Evading. All three of them are evading charges. I think one of them might have had a gun, and the other one might have had, but I think they threw out the gun. And the other one might have had like some drugs.
So evading the police and drugs, and the gun charge was thrown out.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it that makes you want to stick with this person?
Part of it'll definitely be some level of comfortability. Like I feel like he's kind of guided me throughout LA. Like living in downtown Los Angeles, it's really a cesspool. And I'm originally from Alabama, so even though I felt like I was traveled and I had a good eye on people to watch out for, his eye is definitely a lot more crisp than mine. Although sometimes I think it's too quick. Like I'm a little slower to kind of judge or call out what someone might be, and he is very quick about it. And then he's normally very right about it. But we have that be some of the bigger things that differ between us because he'll like be like, well, you can't. You're either a drug addict. If you use drugs, you're a drug addict. And I'm like, well, you could use drugs and be like a drug user. Like I think there's a difference between being a drug user and a drug addict. And he doesn't agree. He's like, nope. If you use drugs on a regular basis, you're a fucking addict. Doesn't matter. Hands down, especially with us being in the area that we are in downtown, there are a lot of drug addicts. And then he's like, well, there's no purpose in hanging out with those type of people. But when you go to the bars, you also run into people who do drugs, but that doesn't necessarily make them an addict. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe I read something yesterday where someone pointed out that if you can be addicted to anything, which obviously I already knew that part, but it was like any substance you use on a regular basis, you're addicted to. And I am still sitting with that.
Yeah.
Cause
Because
I
you
be
both
friends with
smoke
drug
weed.
addicts, y'all. Yeah. Although he started to smoke a lot less weed lately. Actually, I think he stopped smoking weed altogether as of recently, as of like the last 4 or 5 months.
He probably had to legally for probation.
Uh, yeah, there's a couple of reasons why he might have. And I know at
What are
first
the
he
other
thought it was
reasons?
bullshit, and I was like, well, uh, there's a custody battle with his kid's mom, and they were trying to make it seem like he was an addict, and it was like, oh, can we in the
Mm,
state where it's legal? Like, no. And we weren't heavy smokers. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got people who smoke all day from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? And then you have people who smoke like how they drink at the end of the day. Like, okay, I've done my whole day. I've done all the things that I needed to do. And now before I go to bed, I'm going to have a nightcap, you know? And I think that's a difference.
okay.
I think there's a spectrum to it, but I don't think he believes in that.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like his change is because he kind of legally has to, and maybe because it's legally he has to, there's maybe a moral change as well. Because if he doesn't change his thinking, that's going to affect his legal standing if he doesn't get clean, essentially, and not smoke weed anymore. And I get it, because, like, if weed's legal, why is it a problem if someone has marijuana in their system? The government, they kind of wishy-washy on that one, so I get that confusion. But I guess back to your main thing is you're with this guy, and you don't really want a relationship with him, but you're definitely having sex with him, and then emotional connection's not really there. So I'm wondering, what is it that makes you stay with him?
Probably that he's safe, and I know he has my best interest at heart, and that he's not. There's been a few times where I've tried or attempted to date other people, and I realized that they're not healthy, like even more so than I thought was possible, or at least more than I thought initially. Like, you meet somebody and it's all ooh la 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 la, and then you get to know them and you're like, we don't really like mesh that well. Like, we don't like the same things. You're kind of like in the same place. I don't see where you're like actively trying to grow, and that's a problem for me.
Okay. So when you say he's safe, safe meaning what with you?
Safe meaning I know that he is constantly trying to be a better person, and so am I. So I know that we can at least like work on growing that part. And like, I don't know, safe is a hard way to describe because it's just like a feeling. It's like I feel safe knowing that you have my best interest at heart and you're not trying to use me on some type of like secret level, because you'll meet a lot of people downtown who are just trying to use you. Like, I'm a property manager, not in the greatest neighborhood, but I get free housing, which makes me a little bit of a target for people in LA because people don't live alone in Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Um, Everybody has a roommate or lives with family or something else. So people hear that, and I think they like, their spidey senses go off, which was like deja vu because I also lived alone in college where everybody lived on campus. I had an apartment, even though freshmen were supposed to stay on campus. So it's like I thought I came into the situation better prepared, but then the people are different out here. And so I have a hard time reading them and knowing who is serious and who isn't. I don't like the word poser, but it's kind of like that. Like, a lot of people are not who they say they are. They portray kind of what they want to be, but not who they actually are. And like, I've met people who dress very nicely and they're basically homeless. I'm like, oh, so you just like
Mm.
stay here and then there and then there and then here. That's not weird. Or they have unstable living situations. Or they secretly do a bunch of drugs.
So where does he live now?
He has been staying, I mean, he still has his apartment um, across the street from mine, but he has been staying with a friend out in like the Woodland Hills area. just because he just likes the area more. He just kind of didn't want to be downtown anymore.
Okay. And so you guys see each other, what, how many times a week usually?
For a while, we didn't see each other regularly at all, but since I've recently started having Fridays off, once a week.
Okay. So what is your ultimate goal with him? What is it you want to get out of this relationship with him or situationship?
Very good question. Unfortunately, I flip-flop, so I don't know. Because there's another problem. Because, like, part of me wants to get married and have kids and do all of that stuff. But part of me thinks that I'm poly. So, and I haven't really figured out what that means to me. I've been kind of exploring, like, the terminology and the words and, like, seeing how people, like, have that lifestyle. But up until recently, I had never met anyone that I felt like was successful in it. So I had kind of given it up. And he and I have discussed our relationship being something that would be more open, and he does not want a relationship like that.
Okay. So poly meaning more than one person, so that could be two or more. So he wants a one-on-one, and you want a expansive, to say the most.
Well, that's the thing. As I looked into what poly meant, I want more of like a hall pass. Apparently, which I'm not sure that that's even like necessarily healthy, because I don't want to maintain two relationships. I want a primary partner. I want one person who is just, that's my person. But I don't want to be like, I can't go out and hit it off with someone and have a great conversation and befriend that person because they're of the opposite sex.
Have you ever been married before?
For love, no.
Well, have you ever been married before at all?
I mean, if it's not for love, does it matter?
Sounds like yes. So
Legally.
there's a reason. There's something in there. Okay. Okay. Was it one time or was it more than one time?
Legally?
Well, I mean, pen to paper and submit the document, or yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I have been.
So you've been married before. What happened to that marriage? Why did that end?
We lived in different states. It was time for it to.
Okay.
I was still in college at the time, and they had joined the military and was stationed someplace else. And yeah, it was super amicable. They decided that they wanted to like start their life and start having kids and stuff, and I wasn't ready for that. And so they were like, "Well, I need to start like focusing on that. So would you mind like making room for that?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool."
How many years ago was that?
That was many, many moons ago. I still lived in Alabama. I was like in college, so maybe between 2000 what 12.
Okay. So more than 10 years ago, or about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're kind of stuck between this relationship goal of you don't really know what you want and you're kind of figuring out your sexuality at the same time.
Yeah, but I'm getting too old for that shit. That was part of the reason I was like, you know what? maybe I just want to do a regular relationship so that I can have kids and I can, like, someone pointed out that I should focus on an intention. And something about being in my early 30s has that little clock going that's like, I never really thought that I would be this old and not have kids. But I also didn't want to rush it and just have kids with just like anybody. But now it's like I feel like I need to be more intentional about finding someone who wants to go on that journey with me.
Okay. Because my next question to kind of go with that is, as far as your picker, are you picking these men on your own? Because I'm kind of wondering if there's a significant male figure in your life, whether it's a father, uncle, grandfather, big brother, whomever, close male friend, who knows that this guy has this legal situation and a baby mother is trying to work out things with the child. And I don't know if any male that you know would suggest this man for you in your life if you're trying to potentially have one person.
I mean, I have plenty of male friends that I have discussed different aspects of our relationship with. I don't, you know, you don't normally tell everybody everything, but enough snippets, and there are differing opinions. When I first moved here, I had an ex that when I started talking to this guy, he was very supportive of it, but as our relationship started to develop, he kind of took issue with my ex from back home. Even though I was like, the dude lives in Alabama. Like, I have no interest in getting back together with him. But we still communicate. But I think it was making him feel like we talked too much. You know what I'm saying? Like we were too friendly. We were so like he heard him say some stuff at once, and it's like, bro, he's just a fucking asshole. He's a poet, so he thinks he's slick out the mouth with his words. And so he said something
We
like, I have a
can be.
Jasmine. And it's like, at that time, though, our relationship wasn't defined. So it's like, I don't understand the issue. And then, I don't know. It's like you doubt some of the male friends that you have because they're not in successful things. So it's like I have an older male cousin. I have my ex who is older than me and has already been divorced. But like, I don't have any friends that I feel like are in relationships that I can advice from, I guess you could say.
What made you allow me to speak to you or relationship?
Probably insanity. Plus, like, I just love gathering information from all places. Because even the guy I was talking to now,
here I
he's
am.
like, yeah. He's like, why would you do that?
Well,
And I'm
here
like,
I am,
I
seemingly
take
a
all advice.
stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. But like, I'm a stranger, but these people who are in your life, I don't know if any of them have had a 30-plus minute conversation with you about this relationship and you be this open with them. Because I think if they're your friends and your loved ones and you care for them, I think they at least deserve that opportunity, unless they're really shitty. They deserve that opportunity to at least be heard about what it is you want to say. And I think you also need to have people in your life that you can open up to completely. Because if you don't, you're going to end up kind of living a very closed relationship with people, not just the people that you're friends with, but also anyone you choose to partner with going forward and either be married or live together or what have you.
But see, sometimes I find it easier to talk to people that I actually don't know as well about things because they come from an area that doesn't have, it's like they don't have a dog in the fight or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense.
I hear you. No, it does, but I think the dog in the fight also would be your friends, your male friends specifically, who care about you and would definitely want your best interests at heart. You know, they would definitely want to hear what's going on with you, and maybe even add context because they're going to then me or some other random stranger where they can add things from before and say, hey, remember when this and this happened? It sounds like this is happening again, and you weren't very happy last time. You know.
And that'd be the thing, because if this and this happened, we're supposed to be forgiving and moving on. I don't need it drugged up every time something else happens.
Well, I don't mean in terms of like, making you feel bad about it, but I'll put it in the terms of patterns. If patterns continue to happen and they're part of relationships that are failing, then maybe that part of the pattern needs to be discontinued in order to move forward.
Very true. I'm definitely learning some patterns within myself as of lately.
Okay.
Haven't quite figured out how
Good.
to change them, but I'm definitely starting to see them, and I'm like, oh, so I do this thing where I meet someone and I have this connection, normally under some type of influence of alcohol, and I feel like I have this connection. It's so deep. We're having so much fun, and then I get to know them a little bit better after a few weeks, and I'm like, huh, I don't know if I like you as much. Like, you're I just don't know that I like you as much. The two times I tried to date someone else between this 4 year long situationship, one of the guys ended up just honestly being an alcoholic. I was like, oh wow, you get like really drunk and end up telling me the same story. Um, and that was cool like the first two times, but I guess I had never noticed because I would go to the bar and I would see you for my designated amount of time and then I would go home. I didn't realize that you were being there all night, and then now you're this person. And I forget what happened the second time. Oh, I think I just realized that that person, and I know this is like not fair to say, but sometimes when people have a large amount of trauma that I can't relate to, especially depending on their age, then I gracefully decide that that's not something I want to have to deal with. I'm like,
Okay. So large trauma would mean what?
huh?
Large amount of trauma would mean what?
Well, it just depends on like unhealed trauma to be more specific because we all have trauma, so I'm not really worried about that part. But if you're still like, I haven't really, you're not in a place where you have your coping mechanisms that you're using on a consistent basis, then I don't, I just don't see how I can, like, how you should be dating at all in reality. But, like, I don't, I'm at a stage where I don't want to help someone else figure out their lives. If that makes sense. Like I kind of need you to have like an
Okay.
ideal and be on the same page of like we're growing and we're doing this thing and I'm, actively trying to figure it out on a regular basis. Not, oh, I go get drunk and then realize that I don't know. Sometimes I meet some weird people. They'll be like, oh, alcohol doesn't affect me that much. I'm barely drunk. And then it's like, a bottle of liquor affects everybody the same way a bottle of liquor affects everybody. Like, you're drunk. Doesn't matter how big you are. If you drink a bottle of liquor, you're probably going to be wasted. That's just how that works. The
So
problem is,
it
yeah.
sounds like when you're out, like you're out. You said when you're meeting people, you're out drinking, and you've had some drinks in you yourself. So I'm kind of wondering if this is more of the attracting the kind of people of where you are. If that's where you are in your life, and you're drinking, you're getting drunk, or whatever, and then you're meeting people who also have alcohol issues. It sounds like two people without coping mechanisms, appropriate coping mechanisms, healthy ones, that are fusing together or trying to fuse together.
Yeah, that would be a good way to describe it. And I'm trying to grow past that though. Like like I recently did no drinking in January, and I successfully really did make it 30 days. I only had one slip up, and that was a innocent ass like accident. Like I just took a sip out of the wrong person's drink, and then there was some confusion about whether or not I was tripping or that person was tripping. And that was very eye opening for me because it did show me just how foggy my thinking is, because it had been such a long time since I didn't have some form of a drink at the end of my day. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably just considered a high functioning alcoholic. Like, I'm not gonna put that past myself. Like, I know that I drink every day, even if it is just one beer or one glass of wine. Like, normally before I go to sleep, I have some form of a drink. So I did this in January to. That's what.
That is your way to relax, is drinking?
Yeah.
Or smoking weed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did this in January, and I played around with mocktails and non-alcoholic beers. And I was like, kind of fine. Like, I thought that I was going to be like more irritable or something like that. And I wasn't. But what I was a little bit clearer about, like, why am I out at this bar? Like, what are we even doing here? Like, now at this point, I'm just watching other people be drunk. And, like, although that is entertaining, we can, like, wrap that up about 12:01. Like, all right, well, that was cute. I'm about ready to go now. Sure. And just, like, the amount of money, like, waste that it is. It's like, I can drink at home for a lot less money than what y'all charge me. When you go places and you're drinking non-alcoholic beverages for damn near the same price as an alcoholic beverage, you start to feel real disrespected.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier, you said you're getting too old for this shit. As far as like the whole relationship thing and trying to figure out the whole poly thing, I guess at what point do you say, at what age or how many years from now do you say, all right, that's enough. It's time to focus like a laser. Like, is it now? Is it 5 years from now? Will it be 38? What is it?
That's the tricky part, because I had just decided, you know what, now. And then I ran smack dab into all of these people and opportunities that I hadn't met before. It's like the moment I said it, the universe laughed. It was like, oh, okay, you want to be serious about a relationship? Well, let's just throw this guy who is in an open relationship with his wife in your face. Let's just throw this girl who successfully has a boyfriend and a husband. Let's like throw this whole group at you who is like starting to be like more intentional and not like sex focused, so you can like learn all of these words and terminologies. It's like learning about LGBTQIA. It's like all of a sudden it just ran into me when I had stopped looking. And I haven't figured out a time frame. What I will say,
you are accepting it into your life, regardless of whatever comes to you. You're accepting it.
yes, I did accept it because it was like, I mean, it's kind of what I had been curious about. But then as I have conversations, I realized that I don't really think that I'm poly. Like, I've been asking people about an open relationship, but poly means that I would have to maintain more than one relationship, and I've decided that I don't actually want to do that. But I do want to be able to go places and maybe be like flirtatious with a person, or quote unquote flirtatious, because I think that me naturally sometimes comes off as flirtatious, which is not my intention. I'm just friendly. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in my current situationship, he does not like that. But it's like, I'm not, in my mind, I'm not thinking of people being attracted to me. I'm just having a good conversation, and it's made me excited and enjoying, and you know what I'm saying? I seem overly whatever, but like in my head, we were just talking. Like, I don't know where the issue is. But to him, it's this, oh, well, guys think like this, and therefore they think whatever it is the guys think. I don't know. I'm not a fucking guy. And I'm like, but we just had a good conversation. We were able to go back and forth about something because I can't talk to you the way that I would like to because you don't want to have these deep conversations. And I like to fucking talk.
Yeah, that's not how men are. We're not many of us are deep conversationalists. Some of us, sure, but I would say the most of us. You got to go get your dog? Go ahead.
Yeah, she's blocking her car.
Sugar, bring your ass back. Uh-oh. It looks like you're talking, but I can't hear you.
That's because I muted the phone.
I don't know if some... Oh.
So you wouldn't hear me.
You got your dog?
Apparently she's walking away from me.
Oh,
Apparently
thank you.
She's going on her own adventure walk.
Damn dog. So, I guess my last question to you will be, what type of man do you want? And, well, it's a two-part question, but I'll ask you that part first. What kind of man is it that you want as far as going forward?
Okay, well, I have decided I have had someone who is overly fun, and we're just always so excited. And I have someone currently who is very focused and laser focused, in my opinion, sometimes too focused on like getting to a place where he is financially stable and he's responsible and he's healthy and he's, whatever. I would like someone who could do both. I would like someone who had a nice balance of we're going to go out and do things. Not that they have to be expensive because I'm not that type of person. Like, you can literally take me to the movies on a Tuesday when it's a discount day. I don't care. We can go to the park. But I want a person who puts in effort to do that consistently while also balancing out being responsible. If that makes sense.
That sound? No, I hear you. I think guys who are available for that probably aren't working very much.
What? What are they doing?
Guys who are available, I'm just saying, like, a guy, it sounds like you want a guy with a career, right?
Yeah.
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 And you want to go out, like, every week?
Every week, couple times a month, whatever the schedule may be. Definitely at least like once or twice a month.
Okay. So just once or twice a month going out, that makes sense. It sounded like you were saying like maybe a couple times a week. And I was like, that might be a bit much for someone, whether it's financially or just time-wise, especially if it's a man focused on his career and his purpose. We're not always going to have time to put a relationship first.
No, and I don't need it to be every a couple times a month. I mean, a couple times a week because that's a bit much. I don't even like to go out that much. But I mean, once a week would be a dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love that. But it doesn't even have to be out. Like, I just want you to be intentional about wanting to hang out with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be going in. Like, but I wanted to, and I think sometimes I sound unsure and I make all these plans for myself and it intimidates other people. And it's like, well, you weren't making a plan. You want to wait till the day of and go, hey, do you want to do this? And it's like, well, I told someone 2 days ago that I would do something else because who waits until the day of?
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of some last minute planning. I get it. You want to feel like you're not a last minute invite to something.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
that's where some of our disconnect comes from too, because he's like, "Oh, men don't do that. We like never know what we want to do until like the moment of," and I'm like, "No, that's not true." Like people know
That's
a
not
day
true.
or
Well,
two in
maybe
advance.
not. It's, I mean, sure. I mean, I know a guy who got his WrestleMania ticket several months ago, and WrestleMania is not for like another month. So he definitely is a guy who knows what he wants, and so yeah, men definitely will plan for what they want. Hunting trips, fishing trips. We know what we want. We're gonna plan for it. But I want to ask you too. Have you ever had a man in your life that's been able to provide these things for you, where he's available for you, and you guys are hitting it off and connecting well, good, and all that kind of stuff?
To a degree, before I moved out here, I think I mentioned this before, but I sold edibles out of a van, and I also dated the guy who did that. So we would hang out every single day. The problem was that he was a decade older than me, maybe a little more than a decade, maybe more like 14 years. And so he had a lot of everything. It got to a point where it felt like I was being told things and not allowed to kind of figure out things on my natural wavelength, which happens with me and men in general, I think. Like, they're like, this is the path, and this is how you should go about doing something. And it makes me feel like I lose my autonomy to make my own mistakes because the men in my lives are trying so hard to like shelter me from making my own mistakes instead of just letting me go on the journey and make the mistakes.
Okay. So it definitely sounds like while you're trying to figure out your stuff, you're meeting men who aren't very consistent and they're trying to figure out their stuff.
Yeah. And then they want to project what it is that they're figuring out onto me. They're like, you got to go about it this way. This is what you need to do. Like, you need to stop going out for a year and save all your money. And I'm like, I don't think that I would get a good quality of life. I would rather just, I don't know, be broke. And they're like, no, you eventually want to have money, don't you? So you need to just keep your head down for a year. Don't spend anything. Just stay at home. And I'm like, I don't think I would like life. And I don't
Yeah,
want to live like that. Like, I'd
I hear that.
rather
I hear that.
just be affordable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not living just to be rich. And I think that was something we said when I thought we broke up last year. It was like, I live every day like it could be my last day. And he said to me, I live every day like one day I could be a millionaire. And I was like, that is the issue. Like, you're working every day to reach this status because you feel like you need to reach a certain financial number before you can enjoy life. And I don't believe that that's how you should live life.
Okay.
Although I was like, maybe I should think
So,
about it like that. Like, that never crossed my mind, like, to try to live every day like one day I could be a millionaire. Like, I just figured I'd just never be a millionaire.
it's fair, but yeah, being a millionaire is kind of rare in this country. Like it's I don't know, it's like
What are you
less
talking
than
about? This is Los
15% of people are
Angeles.
millionaires.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I mean
Every
like
single house in Long Beach is worth $1
I'm
million.
about the US, not just LA. Obviously the living rate is very high in LA, but I mean being a millionaire, that's still I don't know how common that is. I mean, is everyone in all those apartments downtown, are they millionaires?
Well, I work in affordable housing, so no.
But I
But
mean,
maybe
and
some of
how
those
many
high
other people
rises.
who maybe, but that's the thing is like maybe. Not definitely. Like we obviously know that people who play for these sports teams and everything, obviously they're $1 million contracts, etc. But the average citizen, I doubt it. It's probably pretty rare to be a millionaire or multimillionaire, even at that. But nothing wrong with goals. I'm not opposed to anyone having a goal. Nothing wrong with striving. But I want to give you my
Yeah.
last question. Uh,
Okay.
are any of the men that you've been with or currently with, are any of them actively pursuing you for marriage?
No,
Okay.
not that I
That kind of
know
puts, because if that's what you want and they're not pursuing that with you, then there's a disconnect. Something's not connecting.
of. Okay, how do you bring that up though? Like when you meet someone, you just like immediately be like, "Are you interested in getting married?" Or how does that work?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that question because, like you said, you're 33 and you're getting too old for this shit, and I feel you. And so I'm not saying the first 2 minutes of a conversation, but I mean if you're wanting marriage and or kids, if you ever wanted kids or whatever, that needs to come up very early, very early.
Okay.
Whatever that is, if there's a way to work it into a conversation, then you do it. Because if you don't, when will you? Date one, date two, week three, week five. Oh, didn't see him last week. Now we're at week seven. And now it's like, oh, by the way, what do you think about
Mm.
kids and marriage? Nope. Boom, 7 weeks and sex. You move on to the next guy. Mad at the last one.
Okay. It's a very good point. I'm gonna have to take that into my intentional little baggie here. And the next person I
There you
meet be
go.
like, "So, are you looking for marriage?" Because if not,
Yeah, absolutely.
then I don't really have a place
Absolutely. I
to
started
sleep.
changing. I don't like to give too much personal information, but when I started changing my dating habits, I became more intentional. This was some years back, where I would tell a woman, I'm actively pursuing you for boyfriend girlfriend relationship. So I say, if that bothers you, tell me now, and I won't. And if it doesn't bother you, just know that that's what I'm pursuing, and you're with me on this journey. So they can either say, yes, I'm with you, let's pursue this, or they can say, no, I'm not with this, don't even try. You know what I'm saying? And I was told that
Yeah,
probably at 20, 22. To get it until I was older. I was like, I see. As a guy, I don't want to get rejected, and I don't want to come off too strong, and I don't want to come off too pushy. That's just who I am, so it is what it is. But I also need to be intentional, and I think that kind of alleviates the problems that we have in communication because, well, you didn't say this, you didn't say that. Well, I didn't want to say this too soon, and then, like I said, you end up waiting 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 10 weeks, and you're emotionally engaged with someone and probably sexually engaged, and then it becomes this, fuck, we're not on the same wavelength. Well, you could have had that conversation day one. Because there's nothing wrong with
yeah,
coming out and telling someone, I want to be married. What my goal is. Is that your goal as far as your life? And if they're like, oh, whoa, 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 well, then you know they're probably not trying to be really married at all.
yeah, and I think that's what gets me because people will say something like, "Oh, maybe one day," and then you like look up and you're like, "What is one day? Like, what more do you need?" And they're like, "Oh, you're not in a position to get married." Well, people get married all the time for less positions, so I don't really understand.
Yeah, and I don't think it takes as much to get and stay married as we put on relationships in modern society. I think there's a lot of expectation of the people we marry, and I'm kind of seeing that as a problem because divorce rates being what they are, clearly something changed and something needs to happen because marriages are not lasting anymore. So until we start figuring out how to make this work long term, it's a scary thing to venture into, or for you, venture back into. Did you mute yourself again?
Yes, I know. Back in the day when I was 12, it was 50%. But I
Wait,
kind of
sound
wonder whether it was
muffled.
because I do
Say it
know
again.
that people. Oh, is this better?
Yeah, I think you're covering the mouthpiece or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I said, is this better? No?
Yeah, that's better now.
Okay. Because, yeah, I think I was too. I was like, oh, shit. Um, but I wonder what it is now and like what the marriage rate is now because people are starting to get married later and later. I think like a lot later than like when our parents or my parents more got married.
Yeah, yeah, but I also wonder too, just because you're getting married later, are those marriages lasting? Because that's, in my opinion, that's what the goal is, right? Not to get married and then be like, oh, it lasted 2 years, that's fine. Or is it to get married and stay married? You know, I see a lot of these posts of like a 90-year-old couple, right? And they got married at 19 years old. And that's obviously a very different social perspective. I'm not saying people should get married at 19, but people say they want these things. I want this long-lasting relationship, this long-lasting marriage, but I don't think we have in our society and our culture, not just black folks, but in general, the stick with itness to stay in a relationship when it gets tough and deal with shit. Instead, we kind of like, well, this isn't serving me anymore, and I'm out. And I'm like, that's not how a marriage, in my opinion, is going to work because it's tough. Outside of, like I always say, outside of cheating and beating, why are we getting divorced?
Cheating and beating, you say?
I said outside of
That's
cheating
a
and
good
yeah.
question. Yeah.
Oh, you're buffering.
Sorry, I was sending a message, but
Oh,
um, I think that's a very good point. I think people. I mean, I'm trying to stick it out. I've been trying to stick it out. I do, but it's complicated because you don't know where that line in the sand should be drawn. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. But
It's
that's
like,
part of life is figuring that part out and enough character who is maybe even not even just matching yours, but better than yours in order to go along with them and have that life. Because like you said, you're getting too old for this shit. I hear you.
yeah. I'm like, I'm tired of just dating. I've done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need it to be a little more exciting now.
Well, now you have your perspectives on what to do going forward. You can talk to males in your life and share with them what your dating situation is and be open and honest. If you hide stuff, they can't help you as well. And also, you know that you need to be more focused on laser and just say, hey, this is what I want. I want to be married. I want to have kids or whatever it is. And when you meet someone and you're dating them before you even go on, maybe even before you even date one, just say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I don't want to sit here and figure it out later. Just say before date one, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
If that's what you want. And if it's not what you want, then, well, don't worry about it.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna start doing that because I'm a vibes girl. I don't even know that I date.
Yeah.
Just out here going on vibes. But thank you.
When's,
This has been,
when's the last man picked you up, took you to dinner, paid for it, opened your car door, took you back home and dropped you off and called you when he got home to make sure that you were safe and he was safe? When's the last time that happened?
to be honest with you, I would never let anyone pick me up. Um,
Ever.
so no.
Okay.
But ever, no, never.
Okay. Well, this thing is telling me I have 20 seconds to go and I don't want to have to start another video. So we'll end it there. I'm sure we will talk again and we can have a follow up. I have 10 seconds now and I will see you later. Thank you, Jasmine.